Number one, start by a small exercise before breaking your fast. Whether yoga, whether stretching, whether a little walk, it will help you in activation of gut reflexes. Number two, avoid processed meals or foods by all means. Do not eat packaged and processed foods. Do not use seed oils. Do not use packaged milk. Do not use UV products. This will help you lower your insulin levels, and this will help you avoid health problems. Number three, eat slowly and mindfully, which means activate your gut reflexes slow and stepwise. Do not overeat. Do not eat quick. Eat slow to help you also digest the food adequately. And therefore, high protein diet and a high fat diet is very important for you. So that is another point. Ensure that you eat a fatty meat, eat fatty fish, eat eggs, eat organ meat, and combine with vegetables, and you will be okay because that lowers or controls your insulin levels. Assalamu alaikum, my Muslim brothers and sisters around the world. Now, this is a season of Ramadan, and Ramadan is a special time for our brothers and sisters who are Muslim around the world, and it involves fasting, basically from dawn to dusk. So during this period and during this time, there is abstinence from food, from drinks, and from physical desires or needs. And this allows them to focus on spiritual growth and self-reflection. Now, when it comes to breaking the fast, I have realized there's so much misconception around how to break the fast and what to do, what to eat, what not to eat. So this video is basically designed to help you understand the basics of breaking a fast. Now, breaking a fast is just as important as having that fast, and therefore, we want to regulate our insulin levels to keep them at minimum so that we don't get into health issues, even though fasting helps us recover from different conditions like chronic conditions like arthritis, like diabetes and hypertension, insulin resistance, obesity, and lifestyle conditions including cancer. And therefore, it is a very special month for us, and we've deemed it fit to do this video at this moment in time to just help you and share some tips on how you should break your fast. Okay, so in this video, I shall share those tips on how to break your fast, even though for those who are not fasting for Ramadan purposes, there are those of us who also fast for the 48-hour fast. How do you break the fast after you've gone through it? Okay, so this is intended to give you total tips on how to regulate your insulin levels and keep them at bare minimum, okay, so that you avoid health conditions that come as a result of insulin resistance. So therefore, once you have fasted and it's nearing time for iftar, the first thing you're supposed to do is basically try and work out a little bit. Fasted exercises are the best. So number one, you have to at least, it doesn't mean you go and lift heavy or stuff like that, because once I mention that, most people come to me and tell me it is hard for me to fast and at the same time work out. However, I'll tell you, energy is not coming from the stomach. Energy comes from the liver, and the liver has already enough sources of energy to help you pump or even work out lightly. Also, remember, we are breaking fasts, and also we are breaking these fat cells that we have accumulated over the period of the year through eating unhealthy diets. So once you start breaking these fats down, you get a lot of energy that is not even comparable to those carbohydrates that you consume. And therefore, a little yoga, a little stretching, even a walk, all this will help you actually activate your gut reflexes before you start eating. And therefore, anytime before you start, you break your fast, it is always advisable to get involved in activities here and there. I understand the women go into cooking and stuff, and that is a good activity because they're among the NEAT, the non-energy activity thermogenesis. Okay. Then number two, break your fast starting with water. This is very important because remember, you have blocked yourself from food. You've abstained from food for almost 12 hours and above, and therefore you cannot just start by eating heavy, because your gut reflexes stop this digestion and absorption and cleanup after 8 hours. So once your stomach has absorbed all the food, your gut has absorbed all the food that you ate in the morning, and then it has to take time to shut down and relax. Now, you have to take it slow. You have to initiate those reflexes of the gut reflexes that will help you in digestion, you have to stepwise activate them in a stepwise manner to prevent you from getting all those constipation, that diarrhea, and even intestinal occlusions. Okay, so therefore start with water. You can as well do bone broth. Now bone broth is part of the soups, so you can do water, soups, and juices. Now do not do fruit juices, whether fresh juice or processed juice. Do not do anything that has sugar. So basically the juice that you're doing can be cabbage juice, can be carrot juice, can also be tamarind juice, because these are the ones that have low amounts of sugar, and they will not stimulate insulin spikes in your system. Because remember, anytime you eat any form of carbohydrate after a fast, you will produce insulin, and this insulin will spike up in your blood levels, and that is what we want to avoid. We want to maintain a normal curve of insulin flow in your blood, and therefore we need to start slow. So take that bone broth. Bone broth is a superfood. Ensure you can start with that. Then you can go for your prayer. Then after that, you come back and start eating. So number one, soups, which is bone broth, and any other soup can be chicken soup, but make sure it has fat. Number two, on the same point, you can also do juices. We said cabbage juice, carrot juice, and tamarind juice. Okay, and then you can do water. And in your water, to prevent dehydration, because you've had all this the whole day not taking water, add in a pinch of salt. It will help you to basically kill sugar cravings. Also, it will help you regain your gut and the reflexes and nerve functions. And also, it will help you recover from those peptic ulcer diseases. Remember, when you break your fast, I have realized that most of you eat very unhealthy foods. And that takes us to our point number two. Do not eat processed foods. So anything that has sugar, anything that has fructose, anything that is processed and packaged, do not indulge in it. Why? These processed foods have high content of fructose and also glucose. Now these are simple sugars, and these simple sugars will be broken down so fast and absorbed so fast. Therefore, they will raise the amount of glucose in your system, and that will mean the pancreas will produce insulin at higher concentrations. Now, once it does that, insulin levels spike up in blood. Once they spike up in blood, then you'll end up getting into problems because you'll not burn fat. Remember, high amount of insulin will not help you burn fat. And therefore, if you thought you will use this fasting as a period to lose weight, you might end up gaining weight because insulin prevents you from burning fat. Okay, so we don't want insulin to spike up in your blood to high levels. We want it to maintain at low so that we avoid all this. We shed weight, we get health benefits, we prevent ourselves from insulin resistance, and start recovering from diabetes and hypertension. Okay, so that is point number two. If you have to eat, then consume whole food. Concentrate on whole foods. What do I mean? I mean, you break your fast using animal fat. You break your fast using high fatty meal, which is basically high beef that has high content of fat. You can break your fast using chicken. You can break your fast using fatty fish. Eggs are very nutritious and very high in cholesterol that will help you. Also, you can use an avocado to break that fast. So once you've taken your soup, you've taken some time, then your gut reflexes are back to normal, then you can eat a high fatty meat, which has high protein, and also some form of vegetables. But remember, do not overeat vegetables because they will lead you into constipation. Now again, reduce the amount of processed spice to a minimum level, because I realized most of you will eat high content of spices, and the following day or even the same night you rush to hospital to go or to a pharmacy to go and purchase those omeprazoles and those anti-ulcer drugs. They're a waste of time. Do not consume those drugs at all. Fasting is enough to help you kill or treat gastritis and all that reflux disease and peptic ulcer disease. And therefore, you do not need antacids because they'll mess the system again, because we've talked about it over and over in this video. So therefore, eat healthy food so that you don't get into gastritis and all those issues, and you'll never need the drugs. Okay, then eat slowly. There's always a temptation that once you've been fasting, you now want to reward yourself by eating a lot of food and unhealthy food for that matter. So eat slowly and also mindfully, because this food is not going anywhere. Enjoy the meal, chew slowly, so that it also help your body to in digestion, so that it can absorb these foods in their appropriate and adequate amounts. So eat slowly and mindfully. And again, do not cook your foods in seed oils. Use animal fat, ghee, tallow, lard, sweat. You can also top dress using olive oil. It's very healthy for you. And also, you can use coconut oil for deep frying. Don't eat those mandazis that have high content of sugar. Don't take honey and all those sugars. Don't take pasteurized milk. Okay, wheat products, I know we cannot avoid them. However, minimize those wheat products as possible. Minimize, let them be at low. If you can't avoid them, please minimize them. Okay, because wheat products will cause you another problem with the gut. And then reflexes of the stomach need to be activated as in a stepwise dimension, okay, so that you get a normal functioning of the gut. And that's why I'm telling you should chew slowly, swallow slowly, eat slowly, enjoy the meal, so that these reflexes get to be activated. Basically, what we're doing is we're starting with exercise, and then we go to soups and juices, and then we go to a high-fat meal, then we eat slowly as we enjoy the meal, and then our fast will be perfect, okay? So now, there's this issue that has come up about dates. Now, dates are sugar. There's a high amount of sugar in dates, even though they have different benefits, being high in fiber, being high in vitamins, being high in trace elements like magnesium, like zinc, like potassium. However, they have high content of sugar, and that is what we are trying to avoid. Remember, the thought is that you've been fasting, so your blood sugar levels are low. So if you eat dates, they will raise your blood sugar level, but they don't cause a spike in insulin. That is not true. Anytime you raise your blood sugar levels, insulin comes in, and that is the problem. So we want to put our insulin at low, and therefore, dates are not good for breaking a fast. You can use dates any other time, but do not take dates as a form of your breaking the fast, okay? So that sugar will be a problem in future. So let's avoid that. In conclusion, breaking your fast is as important as fasting itself. And therefore, you can utilize the tips that I've just shared and that I will share as a conclusion in this video to help you maximize both your spiritual and your health benefits, okay? And therefore, just remember, number one, start by a small exercise before breaking your fast, whether yoga, whether stretching, whether a little walk. It will help you in activation of gut reflexes. Number two, avoid processed meals or foods by all means. Do not eat packaged and processed foods. Do not use seed oils. Do not use packaged milk. Do not use wheat products. This will help you lower your insulin levels, and this will help you avoid health problems. Number three, eat slowly and mindfully, which means activate your gut reflexes slow and stepwise. Do not overeat. Do not eat quick. Eat slow to help you also digest the food adequately. And therefore, high protein diet and a high fat diet is very important for you. So that is another point. Ensure that you eat a fatty meat, eat fatty fish, eat eggs, eat organ meat, and combine with vegetables, and you will be okay, because that lowers or controls your insulin levels.